lunch,
Yeah.
2 days
Right.
off. I have to request
Right.
time off. I
Right.
need
Right.
permission.
Right. I gotta do have permission to do like anything. Like I'm a
Any
grown.
ass woman. Welcome to another episode of Soul Shift Session Podcast, where we have deep, transformative conversations to help you transform your mind to transform your life. I am your favorite freedom and financial life coach, Coach Sapphire Star. And of course, with me is my favorite co host, Coach.
Kyle McLeod.
And today we are talking about the art of reset, giving yourself permission to begin again. I'm super excited to have this conversation. Before we deep dive into the conversation, I want to remind you guys to visit us at www.soulshiftsessions.com. Join the tribe if you would like to be a guest and join the conversation in real time. We have great conversations here.
We do, don't we? Don't we?
Yes, go to www.soulshiftsession.com, select be a guest, and last but not least, make sure you're following us on social media. We are on Instagram at Soul Shift Sessions. Cal, what
Yes,
what what is the conversation today? What are we
the
talking
art of the reset is what you told me. And when you said it, I was like, I remember having a thought way back years ago, like, this is it. I don't think I got any more in me. Like if this doesn't like take off, I don't know if I got any more in me, you know? And you start thinking about your age, you start thinking about what you've done. And, to be honest, and in my business partner I had in a previous business, we both would say, we ain't nobody gonna hire us. Ain't nobody gonna hire us. Like, we are not hiring material. We have to have our own business because ain't nobody hiring you, Sapphire. I'll tell you that
They're
right now.
not.
Like,
They're
no,
not.
well, that's not true because you
Well, because I
can
have a
be a
technical skill.
scientist, right? You have the clinical scientist,
Yeah,
thing going. Like, you can hop into anybody's lab whenever you need to,
I could.
But even then, you like, I ain't gonna be here too long.
My spirit, like the technical, physical part of what I do, I
Yeah,
can definitely jump into any space, but my spirit doesn't like the idea of the 9 to 5 clock in, clock out,
yeah,
30-minute lunch,
yeah.
2 days
Right,
off. I have to request
right,
time off. I
right,
need
right,
permission.
right. I gotta do have permission to do like anything. Like, I'm a
Any
grown.
ass woman.
Oh gosh. All right, gang.
Now,
So
can I say something? Can I
yeah,
say something
yeah.
to bring us back off the cloud nine? This is my challenge, and this is what I have been working on, and it's perfectly aligned with what we're talking about. The art of the reset is
Okay.
I have a tendency to hold on longer than I should.
All right, this is a tough one. And I might be in agreement with you about my own life, but the thing is, there there's some things where there's a clear sign that it's time to move on. Especially in like relationships.
Yeah.
But as an entrepreneur, business owner, or someone who is even a partner in a business, it's so challenging to know exactly if it's a lot easier to pivot, right? Like, I can understand pivoting. Like, we were focused in this direction and now we need to
Mhm.
move to this direction because this direction isn't working. But then there's like, do I stop altogether? And I don't know exactly what the signs are necessarily are that say that it's time to just stop altogether. Because how many times have we heard that right when you're about to quit, that's when the
Breakthrough.
breakthrough happens, right?
Yes.
And so that's a very, I don't know if I'm even qualified. Like, I don't know if I'm even qualified to say from a business standpoint when it's time to move on or versus stick it out. It's so much easier in relationships to, because the signs are clearly there for me. If you are experiencing betrayal or abuse or so like any of those things, that it's time to move on. So, but from
And
business,
and I can be the devil's advocate on that,
yeah,
especially when it comes to relationships because and I feel I'm the reverse. I feel like relationships are much more difficult because love and connections
can be
aren't
messy.
always logical.
Yeah,
And even when things, because you can clearly say, this is what I want out of this relationship. And when you're in it, when you're 2 feet
yeah,
in, 10 toes down,
yeah,
and the signs are there, the love is really hard to be rational and think, well, you know what? I'm not getting what I want.
yeah,
Let me start again. Even though it's clear, like you said, like, yeah, if I'm getting abused, if I'm getting neglected, if I'm getting mistreated, it's not
yeah,
always that simple to say, oh, I'm a reset
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Now, in business, I believe for me and my mindset with business, it can be more of a logical, strategic approach where you can
yeah,
say, okay, I know what I want out of business. I have metrics.
yeah,
And every so often, monthly, quarterly, we're measuring those metrics because we want a particular outcome. And if you're doing that in business, it should be clear as the writing on the wall what's working and what's not working.
hmm,
But again, I think too in business, depending on what type of business that we're in, it becomes like a love relationship as well because it's your baby. You
right.
created it and it's like, I
You
don't want to
have
let
this
it.
belief. You have this belief, this unshakable belief that it's going to reach whatever level that you're trying to reach.
Yeah. But in business, I believe you can be a little bit more logical. You can be a little bit more strategic
Hmm.
if you're running your business like a business and not necessarily, this is just something that you love to do, you're passionate about. But if you're
Yeah,
running a business like a true business,
yeah,
the writing is clear on the wall. If you're tracking it, if you're monitoring it, you can
yeah,
see that this is not working. But also to say, okay, at what point do I say, you know what, it's time to start over? And then again, that's still a measure of, okay, well, what do I want out of this business? Is it giving me what I want based on actual numbers and data? That's the thing
yeah,
about business. Like you have data, you have actual numbers that you can track. How much of a loss am I willing to take
right.
before I say, okay, I'm going to begin again?
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree that I agree to that degree that there comes a point, right, where you're like, all right, it's just time for a reset. I just feel that I am not the qualified enough to say where that is. And obviously, when you talk about it from a logical standpoint, you got your specific your KPIs, you have all these different
Hmm.
metrics that you want that you're supposed to meet. And yet still there are times where you're not meeting those metrics, but you have things happening, right? There are things happening in the background that are not necessary. I don't want to say that they're not measurable, but maybe they're not being considered in the measurements.
Hmm.
And those things might be the thing that actually causes that business to propel towards the direction that you want to go, which is why it, I think you said it best when you said it's like a relationship in regards to that it becomes this thing that's your baby. Oh gosh, but I just I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
gang, I'm a little under the weather too, so you may see me go into a coughing fit. At those times, I will make sure I try to edit it out so that you're just looking at Sapphire.
And I think when we think about the art of reset, how would you define that? How would you if I ask you what does reset mean to you, what would be your answer?
All right, reset for me is starting fresh because whenever every time I hear about reset, I think about as a kid when I was playing the video games. Hit the freaking reset button, we'll start all over again. And if it don't, hit that reset button again and again and again, right? But the thing is, when you're a kid, there's nothing at stake. It's nothing at stake when in those cases. But now when you're an adult, whether you're talking about business or you're talking about relationships, hitting that reset button, there is there is
A lot at stake.
progress, right? Because in the video game, you had all this progress, and then you hit that reset button, you lose that progress, right? But as a kid, there's no cost, or I should say, you're not so connected that you cannot afford to just hit that reset button. But when you're an adult, it's a choice that you're making, and you are saying that I've made whatever progress I made, I'm going to cut that off and start all anew, which is nothing wrong with that. However, there is a there's this concept of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Choosing your path, choosing your path and choosing it powerfully. And in that, there is not a right or wrong answer. I'll choose path A and I'll walk that powerfully, or I'll choose path B and I'll walk that powerfully. And that's where the no regrets comes into play. Because if you are aware that if I stay on this path, even though it's not working, but I have enough evidence and belief that it will work, then that's your choice. And you walk that path powerfully. It either will work out or it won't. But same thing with choosing a new path. It may work out, it may not. But you're choosing and you're walking it powerfully. And I think that that's something that is missing from us. Did I say something? I must have said something because I got the gym.
Listen, we can end the podcast.
You really just don't know because we don't know what the future holds. So the question is, what are you willing to do in either path that you choose? What are you willing to choose? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to risk? What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to not give up? And then once you ask those questions, hey, walk it. No right or wrong answer here. You just walk that path.
I love that so much when you said choose and walk path powerfully. That just sent chills through my spines because it's giving yourself permission to begin again. No right, no wrong.
Yeah.
Just evaluate, like you said, evaluate the risk, decide what's at stake, choose, and that's in the choosing.
Yeah.
You're considering all
Yeah.
those things in the choosing. But
Yes.
once you decide I am going to reset, you say, okay, I am ready to begin again, boldly, powerfully, not looking back,
Yeah.
but moving forward and being okay with your decision. Because a lot of times people in life, they're wanting to move forward and maybe they're taking the steps to move forward, but they're always looking back,
Well,
always
yeah, because
looking back at what was when
of
that's
course,
in the past.
of course we do that because it's like when I choose a new path and it's not working out, we say, "Oh, I should have stayed over there. I should have stayed. I should have stuck with what I was doing before because I made so much progress before. And now I'm starting all over again." Gang, we gotta stop that. Choose your path and you walk that path powerfully. It's not the right path. And it's not the wrong path. It's just the path that you chose.
Own it.
Own it. I this is at a time where Deion Sanders' son has slipped in the draft to the 5th round, right? And everyone was expecting him to go in the 1st round. And there
Mm,
was a post by KFC, because Colonel Sanders. And they said it was something along the lines of they were standing with Shador because it took like over 1,000 no's. Over a
yeah,
thousand no's before they got to a yes. And look at KFC now. I mean, I can't imagine my life without the existence of KFC in there, like they've been around that long. I mean, I don't eat KFC. I'm just saying that it's been there
it's
all
been
that
there.
time, all that time. What if at 500 they said, you know what? We're going to have to choose something else because this ain't working. And they would have had to choose whatever path they were going to do and walk that powerfully, And so, um, I, there are so many stories out there of companies that did stick with it. Look at Amazon. Amazon was selling books and they were on the
Yeah,
brink of bankruptcy.
yeah.
And now they are not just a book company, they are a retail, they are in entertainment, production, IT. Like
Real
they are
estate.
literally everywhere in our lives now. And they started out just selling books online, used books at that.
Yeah, yeah. And when I think about reset, I think about, when our computers go to acting wonky.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think about mostly is before we alt controlled,
Mm-hmm.
there's some troubleshooting that happens.
Yes.
There's some, well, let me close out the windows.
Yes.
There's steps. And I think
Yeah.
it's important too when you think about the art of resetting that whatever it is that you're in and you're maybe coming to an end, I do think it's important to say, okay, well, is there anything else that I can do to save this, to save my progress, to save
Yeah.
my time, to save everything I put
Yeah.
into this?
Salvage it. Yeah.
Is there any way to salvage it?
Yeah.
And let me see what that is and try it. But if I've done all I can,
If I see no way out.
if I don't see any way out,
Yeah.
reset.
You know, I had a thought, and the thought is, if I'm considering reset, whatever my consideration is for the reset, or even if I'm not going to reset, does it align with your vision?
Mm,
Because if it aligns with your vision, or if you're thinking, does this align with my vision? If you're asking the question, does this align with my vision? You might be able to get to an answer quicker in determining whether or not I should reset or if I shouldn't. Does all this align with my vision?
that's amazing. Have you had an opportunity, or was there a time in your life where you came to the decision, you did all you could do, and you hit the reset button, you chose and walked powerfully in your path, and you are the more better as a result of it?
I want to say yes, um, because we could just look at the last organization that I was with, where my business partner and I think we were very much aligned, but there were some circumstances that we were experiencing that involved other people. One in particular that I'm thinking of, and because of the lack of integrity that this particular person had, it became impossible for me to continue.
Mm.
And so, because I was like, I cannot go back to where it was before, where I was darn near ready to have a nervous breakdown. I can't afford to go back to that. So therefore, we're probably going to have to hit a reset button here, because as long as that person is involved, I can. Now that I am the better for that, because I've protected my own mental health in that regard. Were there some new challenges that came up as a result of that decision? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Right? But the thing is, no matter how challenging those are, at least I get to work with people that have integrity.
Mhm.
At least I get to work with people that have a vision. At least I get to work with people who are like, we are in this boat together and we're going to paddle together, regardless of what rapids come. And I would rather be shipwrecked with them than to be in a mental institution by myself.
Mm. Wow. That's well said. Well said. I remember, and sometimes we're forced
Yeah.
to reset. And I think you
Yeah.
explained that with your experience in business. And I remember a time, and this was just with social media and growing my business, scaling my business, and really putting myself out there when it comes to marketing my
Mhm.
business. Because believe it or not, there was a time in my life where I would never do a live talking to people on the internet. Like
Yeah.
that was wow to me.
Yeah.
That was wow. And I remember my ex was like, just hit start. And I was like,
Mhm.
"Eh,
I don't know about that.
what am I gonna say? What am I gonna do? What it was so, it's so interesting where I am now versus where I was not even like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I once that journey began and I consistently put myself out there, though I was very much uncomfortable,
Yeah.
very much not at ease, but the more I did it, the better I felt at it. And my business began to grow. My social media began to grow. It was expanding, it was booming.
Yeah.
And then in 2003, my social media account was hacked. All my content, all those videos that I worked very hard emotionally, mentally, and spiritually to put out there, all my followers
Gone.
gone. 3 years worth of dedication gone in one day.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was just like, I want to start over.
Right.
Like, are you serious? I got to start over. I got to
Right.
begin again.
Right. Again. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Once I got over myself, something in me said, you did it before, you'll do it again. And that just gave me the permission to be like, oh, begin again. You did it before, you can do it again.
Yeah. And age does not matter. And this is one thing I appreciate about being on Lisa Nicholas's campus, is because when she brings people together, you see people, that all kinds of people that are resetting, and they are all the way up the scale on the age frame. It's like, if this 80-year-old person can do a reset, who literally is 80 years old, like, I'm not even joking, if they can do it, all of us can do it.
Absolutely. And I think that's important in life. And we talk about this all the time. It's a reoccurring theme of having community, having support, having like minded people around you, like driven people, because you see people and maybe there's examples in your life to show you that, oh, this person had to do a reset, like a hard
Yeah.
stop reset, but they were able to rebuild what they had. They were able to restore all that they lost and they are thriving
Or
in
create a
life.
new.
They're thriving.
Yeah.
And so when you have circles and tribes like that, it makes that giving yourself permission to begin again that much more
Yeah.
easier.
It is, it's scary.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely scary, but I had a thought called, I am scared all the time, but quitting is terrifying.
Mm,
Like I can operate while being scared. I can operate with the fear, especially if I can acknowledge and notice what the fear is and name it and make sense out of it. Cause like for me, I have to make sense out of what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling in order to be able to move forward. Um, but if I can do that, I can move with the fear.
mm,
But when I'm terrified, I can't do anything when I'm terrified. So therefore, quitting for me is terrifying.
mm. And does that fall into the quitting and beginning again? Is that what that
Um, no, no, it's just quitting. Period.
oh, just I'm not even gonna restart.
Yeah, it's like
I'm just gonna shut the computer down
like
and it just
I'm gonna crawl into a hole or into a cave, and I'm
yeah.
gonna close the door and just like shut myself off. That,
I I think that's a very important point that you pull out there because we're talking about resetting and we're thinking about the actions involved. We're thinking about letting something go,
yeah,
deciding to, that choice you talk about, and then to walk powerfully. But there's
yeah,
3 steps there. And one thing I didn't think about was the starting again part. Like, okay, I'm gonna let this go. And that can be, okay, I'm gonna let this go. But now I have to make this decision to start again. And like you said, some people may be like, I'm not doing nothing. This is it. It's not even a reset. It's just like you said, it's a quit.
yeah,
And I didn't even think about that process in your brain that you still have to work through once you let something go
yeah,
to say, oh, I let this go. This is where I am. Now I'm gonna begin again. That middle.
yeah. Well, and it for me, if I quit and go get a job, going get that job might be like going in the cave for me.
Mm,
It might be because I'll be in there and I'm like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is not what and it'll just eat away at me. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is not where I'm supposed to be. You know? Um, so to me that might be like going in the cave.
mm, yeah. Powerful. One of my favorite people, she's an unofficial mentor in my head, is Miss Ernestine Shepherd. And I don't know if you ever heard of her,
Yeah.
but she's a Guinness World Book record holder. She's a bodybuilder. And she began her bodybuilding journey and her health journey in her 60s.
Are
Her
you
and
kidding me?
no, and she's like in her 80s now, but she holds the Guinness Book World Record of the oldest woman to win in a bodybuilding competition. And her journey began with her and her sister wanting, her sister called and was like, hey, I want to, get my health together. Let's start walking. And she was like, okay. She begrudgingly agreed to start walking with her sister. Well, her
Yeah.
sister died. Her sister
Yeah.
ended up dying from a health complication. And that just really sparked something in her to be like, okay, I need to get my health together. And not only that, I'm going to start this bodybuilding journey. And she did it in honor of her sister, but then she started winning all these awards and accolades. But when I get in tough situations and tough times and thinking about resetting and beginning again, I always think about Miss Ernestine Shepherd. Always. And
Awesome.
how she came to a crossroads and how she began this journey and how she's thriving. Listen, I always refer back to her in my head when I have challenges.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because from a fitness standpoint, I always think about a local cyclist here. I think he is 66 now, and this man will blow the doors off. Like I cannot physically keep up with this man. Speed wise, endurance wise. In other words, he can pedal faster and he can go a longer distance than I can in my current level. Well, actually, all levels. Like I have progressed a lot in every level I progressed. I have never caught up to this guy because he
Just
keeps improving.
wow.
he keeps improving and he's in his mid 60s.
Mm.
It's amazing. And so whenever I think about fitness, in my head, I'll be like, hey, look, that man probably in the gym right now. Now, granted, he's retired. He is retired. So he can spend a lot of time working on his body and his performance on the bike. But at the same time, to be that age and to look that good and to be able to feel that good, to me is a testament that age really is just a number,
Mm-hmm.
and we can choose and choose powerfully or walk it powerfully whatever aspect of a fitness journey that we want to be on, and it's never
Yeah.
too late.
And I believe that provides a template. When I think about fitness, when I think about finances,
Yeah.
to me, it's not just money, it's not just your body. It's a regimen of deciding what you want. It's a mindset. It's
Mm-hmm.
then knowing that. And then it's creating a plan of action. And then it's making it happen
Mm-hmm.
to get an expected end. And I believe that skill set, that habit that you're developing as a result of creating that goal just makes you overall in all aspects of your life a better, well-rounded, successful person, me honestly, because it takes a skill set, it takes a mindset, it takes developing, it takes these habits that makes you this exceptional person, but it can be applied to all areas of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, resetting is scary. Not gonna lie. Resetting is scary. However, there's this one thing that we all have to remember, and it's our mindset. If we address the mindset first, the
Yes.
emotions will follow, and then we can actually walk that path powerfully. But just saying yes to the reset,
Give
just
yourself
saying
permission.
just saying yes could be. Is it the hardest part?
I believe because I believe that because once your mind is set and you actually say it out loud, I believe the actions again would just they'll just fall in line because the
Yeah,
belief, the mindset has been set.
yeah,
And then you say it out loud. Now
yeah.
it's the intention.
Right.
Everything else will fall in place because it's one of our rawisms. The
Yeah.
universe is working in your favor to win.
Sometimes saying it out loud makes you have to do it.
It's your own self accountability.
Yeah. I just remember last weekend, like I told people, like, yeah, I'm gonna do 80 miles on Saturday. And
You said it.
I just kept saying it. But when the day came, I was really don't feel like doing this. But I said I would. And there are people who I told that I was gonna do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get going at
Mhm.
and the sun isn't up quite as early as we would like it to be.
I
So,
know.
and the last time I rode in the pitch black,
You was dying.
if you're not dying, you're not living, right? And so I got into a pretty nasty accident that last time, but this time I got through it. I saw the sunrise.
Mm.
It wasn't a full 80, it was 78, but I'll take it because damn them 2 miles. Them 2 miles.
Listen, if someone listening would probably say it's only 2 miles and quickly discount the 78. Like, are
And
you we not gonna give credit to that 78? Like, how dare you?
there you go, right?
Dare you the
Right.
audacity.
Because you ain't on that bike having that little pain in the area that I told you I was having pain in. Talking about it's only 2 miles. You could do that.
I'm telling you, because when I ran, that reminds me of when I ran my first marathon. And I was at mile 20, and they were like, the crowd cheering me on. It was like, you only got 6 miles. I was like, you raggedy, dusty, crusty, crusty, sideline MFers. What you mean only? Fighting
What
for
you
my
mean
life.
only? What you mean only? What you mean?
Those were the hardest. And let me correct that because I done messed up. 6.2 miles.
Hey, listen.
And that
And this
point
point
two,
out. It matters. It matters.
that point two,
Yes. It
when I
absolutely
bit,
matters.
when I bit that corner to the finish line,
Cause
and I stopped.
that's like 6.25. Might as well be 6.25. Quarter mile.
That point two was the hardest.
I
That
don't.
26 kicked my ass for sure, but that point two. But I love how they strategically had it set up. When you bit that corner to do the point two, you saw the finish line, and so it just does something in you. Where it's like, oh,
I can do it. I
I've
can get
come
this.
this far.
Come this
Ugh.
far.
Psychologically, in
Yeah.
in training with the marathon, if the mind can conceive it, the body will achieve it because the
Yeah.
body will want to give up on you. But if your mind is set and you said yes,
Yeah.
you'll muster
I
it up.
I do find it interesting the way the mind does work though, because I was not faster than I've been in the past on doing that particular route. However, up here, time was just passing by. Like it was like, oh, I'm here already. Oh, I'm here already. It was like a lot of those types of moments. Like, oh wow, I'm already
Don't you love
finished the
those?
segment. Yeah, but the other thing is, I am still accomplishing it slower, physically slower than the times in the past. But because I'm so engaged with trying to make sure that I'm staying within a specific zone, that I'm not aware of the progress that I'm making. But then once the soreness started kicking in, now I'm very aware of how much further I have to go to get to. And then it's like, ooh, uh, I need something to eat. But all these places are closed because it's so early in the morning. I'm like, but when I get to that gas station, there's gonna be some pizza there, and I can have pizza. And now I'm talking to myself, like, oh, we like pizza. We like pizza. We're gonna have
What
some
are we
pizza.
doing on that pizza today?
Right. What am I even putting on that pizza when I get there? Right. Only to get there, ain't no pizza. Ain't no pizza.
But listen, the idea of the pizza being there got you there.
It got me there. Got me there. And didn't make cause me to stop anywhere else ahead of time. Like, I'm gonna get some pizza. And then, right, she's like, it's only gonna be 3 minutes. Fine, put that pizza in that oven. And then I saw some chicken wings, and I'm like,
Chicken white.
these chicken wings look really good right now. You know what? Damn that pizza. Give me these wings. Now, do you know how far I had to go before I got home? 6 miles. I had 6 miles to go.
6.
Like I probably could have gone home and ate something at home, but I wanted what I wanted at that stop.
And we're not gonna discount all the mother
All the
miles.
other miles, right?
Because if you would have went all the way home, it would have been the totality of the miles, not
Yes.
just 6 miles.
Right. 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 So, but
Yes.
needless to say, resetting, I no longer believe that I have to, like, there's always so much left. If a reset is required, a reset is required. And no matter how old we are, we can do it.
Absolutely.
And I think that is probably in the aspect of giving yourself permission is probably even more important, because when you're giving yourself permission, you are doing it without the guilt that comes in from the whatever that didn't work out previously.
That's powerful.
Thank you very much.
Gems. Yes.
I'm here all day.
And, yeah. And I was going to say, you know how you talked about as a kid, it's easier to reset.
Yeah.
I will also argue on the other side of that as I get older and wiser, and I've gone through so many things where I've had to give myself permission to reset. It's so much easier now for me to be like, oh, okay.
Uh, well, I'd like to offer up something here. That's because you're a big kid.
We do. It's as we get older, we go back to the joys and the freedom we had as kids. Cause now we're like, oh, that was a great thing. We took that for granted and we're getting back to that. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so
I mean,
true.
you
That
were
makes a
like
lot
the
of sense.
big. If there's anything that I learned when I first met you at that conference, was that you're a big kid like me. We are just two big kids up in this conference, and now they got to put us out.
I thought we got put out. Not put out, but put out.
Right? You ain't got to
It
go
was like
home,
y'all
but
don't have to go home, but y'all gotta
got
get
to
up
get
out of
out of
here.
here. Yeah. And now there's the silent retreat that we haven't registered for. But we're very clear that we're two big kids and we'll probably get
Or,
yeah.
yeah, but we're gonna do this experiment for you guys. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you'll know when the big silent retreat is happening. Maybe not 10. I think that was 10 days. Maybe we'll find a shorter one.
Yeah, we'll definitely need a shorter one. Yeah.
We'll find a shorter one and we will definitely let you guys
Yeah.
know how. I think now 3 days, I think we're more likely to get through 3 days without getting kicked out versus 10 days. I'm just saying.
All right. So here's the thing though, to really make this experiment work out right, I think that we cannot agree to show up at like to the same one. It has to be like one of us surprises the other one at the retreat. And that way it truly is an experiment because if it's 3 days, you and I can plan it out. Oh, we're not going to do this.
Oh,
But if I show up impromptu to your retreat, you're going to be like, this dude done showed up. Now, how am I going to get through this week? We haven't even talked about it. We haven't even planned about how we're going to be. I'm just going to show up.
I don't even you have a lot of faith in us because I don't even think we can plan not to act up at this 3 day. Like
I think we can. I think
I
we can.
think logically in our head we can be strategic about it, but that's because we're not in the same space. Soon as we get in the same space, all that strategy and logic and all that, I think that's just gonna go out the window. I do believe that. I do believe that. Okay, I want to share my quote.
Okay.
Drum roll, please. Yes, yes. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is not a leap, but a pause. To breathe, to believe, and to begin again with intention.
You had me at pause. You had me at pause.
And I had to do a pause because I said pause.
Yep. Yep. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information?
Mhm. That was deep. That was deep.
We have so much information now. Not a lot of knowledge. A lot of information, not a lot of knowledge. And when there is knowledge, how much wisdom are we really being exposed to these days?
Yeah. Look at AI.
Yeah.
I saw a post on Instagram and it was like, it was to effect of it, the music of like, you think you're better than someone. And it was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I graduated without AI. I'm better than you guys. Like, I'm better.
I secretly love the shade though. I
Yeah,
secretly
like
love the shade. Like I didn't have AI. Like
I didn't have AI. Like I didn't have, anyone writing my papers. And I guess that was a service or something back then. Somebody else could have written your papers for
right,
you, but you didn't have AI. You didn't have all these options that people. So
right.
now it's just like, oh yeah, I'm smarter than all of you.
I secretly support that shenanigan right
I know.
there. I secretly support it, every bit of it. And I'm a big
Okay,
fan.
guys. Oh, there it goes. That's my cue. Okay, guys, we are now at the end of our soul shift conversation. Please put in the comment section if there's anything today that stood out to you, or if you want to share. How do you give yourself permission to reset when you're going through different challenges in your life? Please put it in the comment section. We really, truly, and honestly appreciate you being here. Remember, sharing is caring. If you know someone who can use a soul shift, make sure you share this podcast with them. It's absolutely free, but it helps us grow our channel as well as your following. If you're listening, please consider following us here on the Soul Shift Session podcast. And of course, make sure you go visit soulshiftsessions.com. Any final words, Coach Kyle?
Choose and walk powerfully. Sit.
Thank you, guys. Until next time.
Till next time.
Don't forget to let your soul glow.
You almost went without that one today,
I
right?
was working. I said something feels off.